Well, welcome to the Quantum Healer. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Tracey Allshafer, and I'm here with Makiko, who is a Reiki Master and a healer in Cranberry, New Jersey. So thank you, Makiko, for being able to interview with me today about Reiki.
You're very welcome.
I'm a Reiki Master as well as you, so thank you so much. I can't interview myself. So I asked some of my friends and students who they recommended, and everybody said, you have to talk to Makiko. You have to talk to Makiko.
Thank you.
So here I am.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because that means I get to have a little Reiki session with a Reiki Master. So that's always a good day for me. So for those of you, Reiki is a pretty well-known modality at this point. It probably 15 or 20 years ago, I remember I was attuned back in the late 90s, and not as many people knew about it. And even back then, the symbols were sacred and secret. And now everybody knows what Reiki is, and they're tattooing the symbols on their body. And everybody knows about it. But I want to talk about what it is for people who don't understand or know, because
I see.
I feel like it's kind of the basis for a lot of healing work. A lot of us who are healers or healing arts practitioners started with Reiki attunements, and then these eclectic or other practices kind of came about. You agree with that?
So true. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is Reiki?
That's a very good thing. It is an ancient healing practice originated in Japan, and most of the time we use a hand as a medium. What is Reiki? Reiki is both spiritual and then also, I would say, very scientific healing methodology, the technology that use non-physical energy and through our embodiment and basically transfer to the living things for the calmness and healing and bring everything in a balance.
Can you explain what the kanji symbols of Rei and Ki are?
Oh, you know kanji, the word. I'm impressed. So the kanji of Reiki or the symbol?
Both, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I'm just gonna give you that little knowledge about Reiki. So if you go to Japan, and let's say I'm a Reiki practitioner or Reiki Master that attune here in the United States, they won't give you kanji.
Oh.
They will give you in so-called katakana. It's a different set of alphabet that describes a foreign entity or item or concept.
Oh, okay.
So even though you are master Reiki here, when you go back to the home country, Japan, they will say, yes, you are Reiki master, but they will give you the Reiki, the different character.
Interesting.
So in other words, they don't recognize as a Reiki master who are tuned in Japan. So that is a little history, but going back to your question and answering to the kanji part, okay, so that's really, really interesting. So if you know kanji, that each one is like a symbol, that each one represent multiple different meanings, and then also a lot of kanji has a history. So by looking at the kanji, you know the story behind it and you know the meaning of that word. So it's kind of like, to me, it's a name. But Reiki's Rei consists, I don't want to use the word consists of, but three different things. So one part in the braids, the top part of the kanji represent the cloud and the rain coming down. And then in the bottom part is a female shaman is kind of offering up to the heaven, a god. So in Japan, I'm not sure here though, shaman always conducted by female because Japanese people believe female are more naturally in tune with Mother Earth, the elements. So if they need a rain for the crops, the shaman comes and pray to the heaven or God for rain to come down. So Reiki's ray is exactly that. When the shaman connect to the heaven answer to the people so we could survive. So the connection between the heaven and then people.
Okay.
Kind of mysterious connection,
Yeah.
but it's a trust. And a key itself is well, it's interesting word. We use so many things, but it is kind of spirit. So the word itself, it's interesting because back then, the people who described the mysterious life force energy is when you're cooking a rice. Okay, when they start boiling and you see the steam coming up from the rice, like that movement. If you think about it, it is kind of mysterious in a sense because all of a sudden from nothingness, the heat and these things come out from the, but it's disappear in the air. It is a reaction of some chemical, transition things, and people thought this is kind of symbolic representation of the life force energy, its aliveness. So that is a key. It is life force, right? The directional energy. So this word, put it together, it's called Reiki in kanji. Okay, so that's a great question. So let's say if you are attuned and trained in Japan and became a master, which is a very long process.
How long is that?
Depend, but about 10 to 30 years. People spend about 50 to 100,000 to become a master because each time you pay and you think about 10 years, let's say you're going every week for the lesson, how many amount of money, it's not so much about the money because if you're not achieved to the level of satisfaction, you'll be keep training.
Yeah.
So this is why the different duration and understandable when we become master, let's say for 5 days training, I'm just exaggerating that length of it.
Yeah.
But you could technically receive the master by taking 4 different class, correct? Different level of attunements. And then you're a master here. Going back to Japan, and think about those people who became master after 30 years.
Wow.
So this is why it happens, but I'm not saying that is better. It's just the way it is. And also kind of, how do you say this, because of the people who want to learn Reiki, not just a beginner, but it's also a lot of people who are already familiarized with Reiki. So I just wanted to give you a little of the mini knowledge of what that is.
Wow. I mean, thank you for that because I didn't know anything about that part of the teaching or the learning piece in Japan. That was never explained to me by
not
any
many
of my
people
teachers.
know. Yeah, I'm from Japan, and I grew up in a family that my grandma was Reiki healer, even though she didn't admit it. And then my sister also. So that's why I do have a textbook, and I also have the story behind. Because of the history of Reiki, it's been hidden, and a lot of Reiki practitioners in Japan will not admit that they are because has been a suppression by government after World War II.
Oh.
So it is kind of blessing, not anymore, but it's very blessing and eye-opening. The Western culture embraced so much, almost like a next yoga, right? and then actually revitalize the Reiki basically dying underground.
Wow.
So I'm so grateful.
I didn't realize that it was like some of these mystery schools that, you know, particular groups were allowed to have the knowledge and not share it.
Yeah.
And it feels like a lot like that. I did not realize that component. And of course, today, there's so much more access
Yes.
to all of this knowledge, which maybe in the beginning, particular priests or masters needed elders. It needed to be that way because of the energy at that time. But where we're living now, and the time and the frequency that we're living on the planet, so many more people can more freely, almost naturally be attuned because of the vibrational energy.
Oh my God.
There's like a piece of that, right?
Ooh, you gave me some kind of like chill when you said it. It is absolutely correct. And somebody like you are already connected. So you feel it, you are like way sure. This is why you're doing what you do now. So you already have it. But you also could see that other who are not so sensitive, let's say, start to awakening because of the availability of higher frequency. So correct. You don't need to go in a cave for 10 years, right? To get the same effect or impact now, which is very good. You actually, everybody has this, potential and energy. It is a matter of how much consciously connecting, and then you'll be able to intentionally utilize the energy. So that is just a difference between maybe master or practitioner versus non-practitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly need more healing in the world and more healers. So, to me, there's always this divine architecture. So it makes sense that, the people that are being born more recently are coming in more in tune with natural energy, with more empathic abilities than maybe when we were born. And that's because we need more people to get into healing quicker.
Yes, that's so true. It is interesting you said that when we need something, the things will come. And there's massive amount of, children, but it's also adults awakening very rapidly, because of the needs.
Yeah.
And then I can agree with you more. We just experienced or still experiencing pandemic, and a lot of people, including myself, did not have access to healthcare system unless you are vitally ill, right? And what do you do? And then if you are able to bring the healing energy to yourself, even just short period of time, right? Give you a calmness, give the body some break and chance to heal itself.
Yeah.
So I think I really want more people to know and access to this energy.
I have a former student that had developed a program of yoga and bringing it into the school systems and teaching children, not just yoga, teaching them almost how to teach yoga. And we talked a lot about how I think children should be taught Reiki from a very young age. They are already in tune with the natural energy, and they're more open.
Yes.
So they don't have to awaken like adults do because they're already ready. And if we taught them, and she loved the idea, and I thought, wouldn't it be really great? So if anybody out there has anything to do with school systems and wants to bring Reiki, I'm in.
Yeah. Can we in? Absolutely.
We'll create a curriculum and bring it into the schools, because I really feel like that will be so beneficial. Kids today are dealing with, because of the energy that they're feeling,
So much
they're more
stress.
anxiety,
Absolutely.
more depression, more stress, and all of the things that stress brings. And something like Reiki, which allows them to really tune into their natural ability to heal, would be so good, not just for them, but for everyone, for the whole planet.
Absolutely. That's so true. That's a
So,
great idea.
I think it's a great idea. I think somebody needs to contact me about that.
True. I'm sure there's somebody out there.
I'm ready. I feel like, a lot of these, I'll say mystery school, because I feel like Reiki is like one of those things, but a lot of those things that were secret, or 30 years to master, those kinds of things,
Yeah.
there's pieces in there that are just so relevant and true, and they need to be shared, and they need to be made available to
True.
the masses. So
That's so true. But I think it's available, readily available. Like, not as much to the extent of yoga, but it's becoming that way.
Oh, yeah.
More and more people know about Reiki now. Before, like you said, 15 years ago, I don't think anyone.
not many.
Not many for sure, here especially, But now, even in, let's say, like in industry sector, like pharmaceutical or science major, those people, you would think it's slightly away from those things. They actually know about it and bringing into the hospital setting.
Yeah.
I see the flyer in a doctor's office. So I think things are shifting a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it maybe somewhere about 4 to 5 years ago, there was a local hospital that relocated and expanded, maybe even more than that. And I had some of my teachers who are also Reiki attuned. They were going into the cancer wards of the hospitals to just offer Reiki.
Yeah.
And the hospitals were seeking out Reiki practitioners that wanted to come in and just offer that service.
Very good.
So it's come a long way.
Yes. Well, back then, I would say pre-world wars, in Japan, government was accepting Reiki as an alternative to surgery. So they are in the healthcare system. So if you go into the hospital, you are able to choose invasive, a surgery option or Reiki, and be paid.
Was this pre-World War?
Pre-World War, yeah.
Okay.
War, the period. So it was completely recognized. It's in the healthcare system. So that is something I'm looking forward to.
Is it today still recognized? Or I know you said there was a period where it wasn't.
It was a surplus. So, it is interesting you said, I think, oddly, I think this country, like Western society, perhaps more accepting Reiki than over there, which is kind of interesting. But hopefully the trend will shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you aware of, I'm just thinking this, we're talking about Japan, we're talking about the United States. Do you know what the commonality of it is in any other countries, like in European countries, or is it well known, do you think?
I can't say too much, but since the person who started to popularize Reiki was not an American person, so I would think that as a country, Europe also accepting more and more Reiki healing, but I can't say for sure.
I'm just remembering I was in Florida and I had injured my shoulder and I was looking for a Reiki practitioner, and the woman that was recommended to me in the area was from the UK. And she was trained in the UK. So that's...
See, right?
So yeah, so we do have some, I do know that. But can we talk a little bit about like what somebody, what is actually happening in a Reiki session? Can you explain that process to people?
Wow. What is actually happening? Yeah. What is happening?
I almost feel like even though we're talking about before just the kanji, like there's certain things you can't explain,
Uh-huh.
but to the best that we can.
Okay, so let's see. It is, it's funny. It is a I would say multi-dimensional healing. But when you think about, I'm just trying to compare, contrast to more traditional healing versus, right, Reiki. That's where you try to coming out. So I would just have to think of going to doctor versus going to Reiki practitioner. To me, it's not that much difference, but what mysterious about Reiki to maybe many people are sometimes there's a no contact, right? Whereas if you go to see doctor, you get the pill or some kind of procedure, the called diagnosis, and then you're getting some type of treatment, right? You some kind of physical things that
look
affect.
in the mouth, look in the ear.
Yeah, and then
take your temperature.
Exactly. So use all the five senses. But if you truly think of those pills, how it's affecting, right? It's actually affected multi-level. But the thing is that you just only focus on physical elements. Okay. So what is mysterious about Reiki and what is happening, what people are so curious about? Because it is a lot to do with the dealing with non-physical part, right? So that's when the science kind of close their eyes sometime. And that's why it's so mysterious. But it's not so mysterious because more and more you're aware, a lot of things are non-physical.
Yeah.
I give you an example, the thoughts. That's non-physical, correct? Because you can't see it,
right,
with this eye. But if I tell you that thoughts, thoughts form, and you could see it with your inner eye. So that is something Reiki will do is more up in the front. So Reiki and other energy healings, I would say, they deal with a lot of non-physical things that doesn't require five senses. So this is why the mysterious part. But a lot of things make up, actually more things non-physical, that affect our physical health. So this is why the Reiki address the non-physical things up front, so it doesn't come to the physical dis-ease or alleviate, getting worsened, the further go down to, downfall. So that is probably the most mysterious part for the people. Like you said, once you open the old senses are available to us, right? And you start to actually feel and see, just like you have five senses, and you start to comprehend, understand, that's what it was, and that's what she or he is addressing to me, and become less mysterious. But now, more like a layman's term, like more in a flat term, it is an energy healing, right? And then everything is actually energy. And once you understand that, it is so much easier to receive and then also offer. So I don't know that's answering your question, but it is probably, to me, the best that you experience it.
Well, I think, like most things, it's a very experiential practice. You have to, in fact, just the other day, within the last 5 days, I had somebody come in for a healing session. They've never had one before. They didn't know what to anticipate or expect.
Okay.
She thought it was more like a massage. She started to take like her shirt off. I said, no, you don't need to do that. We're just going to let fully, she's like, oh, keep my clothes on? And I said, yeah, keep your clothes on. We're going to lay on the table. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I said, that's all right. You trust me. That's why you're here. And I explained a little bit that, you know, I might be, I might touch you or I might not touch you. I might have my hands above you, but you still may feel something. You might feel, the most common things people say are warmth or heat or some kind of like, again, that unmeasurable, right? It's some kind of energy that
like
you
sometimes
feel.
tingling sensation.
Yeah, some sensation. And it actually went so good. She couldn't believe how she felt when she got off the table. It was, you know, she was really just open. And I said, that's the biggest thing, just be open. Because this is, you know, this is me just holding space here with you and for the energy. I'm not putting anything in you or taking anything out of you. I'm just channeling or facilitating what's happening.
That's interesting. You know, that's a great. So I see, I know what you're getting at. So what's happening? So yes, so there are a lot of misunderstanding, or I would say, or sometimes turn into the fear. So it is important that when attuned Reiki practitioner or master, you know, when they're charging, let's say charging up for Reiki, right? They are channeling, like you said. It actually, we open all the energy center and start to bring in those, I would say like free energy, the energy that connect to our core, like all the creative energy connected to, start pouring in. The interesting about when you're pouring in energy, the strongest force is always the vertical energy. So either you see the light coming in, like the pillar of light coming right into, or coming from the earth's core too. So this is almost looks like the pillar of light. That is actually where the tempura came from. Pillar of light, you know, temple of light, pillar of temple, right? Templar. But anyway, so we are the holding the light. So when the Reiki gonna connect, like coming in, right? And then meet at the heart chakra, because this is a big healing energy, and then connect to other people's heart. So this is like a massively open here. You know, it's like a lot of like heat coming through. And then what happened is that, especially attuned Reiki practitioner, this is a secondary chakra of the heart. It start to coming, the lights coming out. It's really incredible. Actually, lights coming on a lot of places, but this is the strongest part. It's the most powerful place. And then also, you know what, you could extend right from the hand. That's why a lot of time Reiki healer use the hands. It's not just hands is special, because hands are connected to the heart, and the heart is connected to this both of the vertical energy of light, which connect to the source. So what are we doing? It's really holding, yes, projecting this healing light to emanating to this being. Now we are not forcing this energy. This being has ability to receive or not receive. That's how intelligent our energy is.